Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone can hear me. I would like to issue a very warm welcome to all participants, those who are joining us online for this 19th session of the IICA-COLEAD Agribusiness Series. Today, we're going to have a very dynamic and interesting subject to be discussed. We are looking at transforming agri-food systems and the opportunities for entrepreneurs in the Caribbean and Latin America. So I know traditionally you all would see another face, a more pleasant face, welcoming you all. And I'm speaking about my colleague, Isolino Boto. And Isolino Boto, we want to thank her for all her support over the years. She's no longer with COLEAD, she has retired. And Isolina, along with my predecessor, Mrs. Ina Harvey, were the persons that started this wonderful activity. In 2021, during the pandemic, they would have come up with this initiative, and it was very impactful, and even up to today, and we know this is the 19th session, and it has led to the capacity building of a number of agri-entrepreneurs across, not just the Caribbean, but Africa, the Pacific, even in the EU. And I want to recognize the contributions of Ina Harvey and Isolino Boto to really driving agribusiness development through this series. And on a larger note, the overall partnership between IICA and COLEAD is largely due to the work and the efforts of those two women, and we really applaud them for all the hard work. The partnership with COLEAD for IICA has been very important over the last few years. Besides the Agribusiness series, we recently collaborated at the recently held Caribbean Week of Agriculture, and that was held in St. Kitts and Nevis in the month of September and October. And IICA and COLEAD have been working together to address issues related to agricultural health and food safety, the digitalization of agriculture, and we are also exploring areas for collaboration with women and youth, as well as with resilient agriculture development. So there are a lot of areas where there's ongoing partnership. From my awareness, I know that we are working towards establishing a new memorandum of understanding between the two agencies. So we're looking forward to more dynamic collaboration and interventions going forward. I want to also bring greetings quickly on behalf of my Director General, Dr. Manuel Otero, who has been a strong advocate for this collaboration and continues to lend his support to the activities that we undertake. It is hope, and we've started doing this, in fact, going beyond the interventions for the Caribbean, but also looking at the partnership between the two agencies across the entire hemispheres, across the Americas. So this is a partnership that's mushrooming pretty well and having impact across all territories. Moving quickly to today's activity, as I said, we are looking at transforming agri-food systems and identifying opportunities for agri-entrepreneurs in the Caribbean and Latin America. Now, we know that this is a critical subject. The region has a lot of scope for development. Well, there's a great call for us to enhance food security in our Caribbean region. We know the heads of government, of course, CARICOM, have called for us to reduce our regional food import bill by 25% by this year. And we've now extended that to 2030. So it's now titled 25 by 25 plus 5. So we're looking at marching towards 2030. So there's a huge mandate, there's a huge call for our agri-entrepreneurs to step up and be able to contribute to enhancing food security. Our role as IICA and COLEAD, we strongly support the development of small and medium-sized enterprises. In fact, in the Caribbean, we more refer to micro, small, and medium-sized entrepreneurs. But there are a lot of challenges that these MSMEs face, and that's why we're here to lend support. That's why we share information. We have that overall exchange of ideas. We have that networking that takes place through this agribusiness series. Now, if we are looking at transforming agri-food systems, and we know that there's a huge call for have the sector be developed, there are a lot of challenges that we face, challenges related to climate change, access to financing. We know that there's a need for more technology and innovation. There are a lot of challenges that we face. The aging population of persons in agriculture is a myriad of issues that agri-entrepreneurs face. But in order to transform agri-food systems, we also have to pay attention to the developments that are taking place in the sector globally as well as in the region. There's increased call for digitalization of agriculture. We recognize that consumer preferences are changing across the region, and this impacts the entrepreneurs globally. Consumers are more looking at healthy foods, safer foods, more traceability. So there's a great call by the consumers for agri-entrepreneurs to up their game, to upscale. And as I said before, now persons are finding more creative ways to engage in contracting, etc. So there are a number of changes and developments taking place. And if it is that we are to transform the sector, we have to be able to recognize these changes. We have to be able to know these developments and pivot and take advantage of them. And that's where we come to the opportunities. So the opportunities in the various niche markets, the opportunities to capitalize on opportunities in inter-regional trade to reduce the said food import bill. So those are things that we need to look at, the opportunities for the digitalization of agriculture. And we talk about the use of e-commerce platforms, we talk about online networks, etc. And in fact, today, all those issues we are going to address. And as I said, let's go straight to today. We're going to hear from a group of presenters who have been able to address some of these changes that they're seeing in the sector, hurdle the challenges, and capitalize on the opportunities. We start off with a panel of agri-entrepreneurs who are going to share their experiences and how they've been able, as I said, to take advantage of the opportunities that exist out there, how they've been able to hurdle the challenges. And then, just as I said that there are challenges and there are changes taking place, we need support to take advantage of the opportunities. And our second panel takes us to two presenters who are able to share technical program and how they can assist agri-entrepreneurs in the region and globally as well. So with that said, I think I've spoken too much. I would like to start off by introducing my colleague from COLEAD, and I'm speaking about Mr. Jeremy Crooks, who is the head at COLEAD. And most of you all may remember Jeremy, and Jeremy has been doing our introductions for the last few years, and he's the general delegate from COLEAD. And I just want to give a brief introduction on Jeremy. Now, Jeremy Knops holds a master's degree in business engineering from the Solvay Brussels School of Economics and Management. And prior to joining COLEAD in 2009, he was involved in Guatemala with the daily operations of a farmers cooperative exporting loquats to the EU and the US. So Jeremy is very close to us. He knows the Americas. He started to work for COLEAD as an expert in charge of matters related to private standard and certification for ACP producers and exporters of fruit and vegetables. Jeremy is an accredited coach for leadership and professional development, and he was appointed as General Delegate of COLEAD in June 2019. He brings a wealth of experience to this discussion, and I want to invite him to give some brief remarks before we move to the presenters. Jeremy, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Allister. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are, all joining us across Latin America, the Caribbean, I can see even Africa and beyond. It's of course a great pleasure on behalf of COLEAD to welcome you to this session, co-organized with IICA. I won't be too long, Allister. I think you've greatly introduced the session of today, and I'll just want to highlight maybe a couple of things. We all know that our food systems, of course, at the moment are at a crossroads. We have kind of a perfect storm that has been brewing between the market and trade distortions. Of course, we had the pandemic, we have climate change, and we have these shifting consumer expectations which are taking place, but not exactly in the same way all over the world. With all these challenges, we know that there are also some opportunities, and the equation we're trying to resolve, of course, is how to overcome these challenges, transform them into opportunities, but transform them into opportunities to drive a sustainable change, to drive a transformation on the way we produce, we transport, and we consume products. MSMEs around the world, and this is across sectors, but again, uh, more specifically in the agri-food sector, are really the backbone and the backbone for this transformation. And we see many of them across different continents, and of course in the Caribbean and Latin America, but also elsewhere. As Lister said, we're trying to connect also different parts, different continents. This is the case also on the African continent. See many young people, women with innovative business models, leading a change, digital platforms, regenerative farming. We are witnessing a time of change, but the question is how fast and how deep can this transformation be, given a number of constraints that are out there. We have limited access, persistent limited access to finance across the board for MSMEs. This is really the missing middle equation that's so difficult to resolve. We have some issues, some persistent issues around logistics and around human resources as a whole, starting, of course, for the agri-food sector, about the attractiveness of this sector for new generations of people, but also, of course, for people within the sector, how to continuously be able to equip them with the right competencies in a rapidly changing world. So through one of our programs, Fit for Market Plus, funded by the EU and the OECPS, we try to act on three distinct levels to when it comes to identifying opportunities, equipping actors to seize these opportunities and contribute to more resilient and sustainable food systems. One, it's the division on facilitating access to market. So it's a lot about the information and tools that we try to provide to MSMEs and their ecosystems to understand how markets evolve, what are they requiring in terms of regulations and standards, and what type of technologies, systems, and innovation can support the market access and sustainable practices. Two, it's really working within the ecosystem. So with MSMEs, competent authorities, BMOs, service providers, equipping them with the right competencies, knowledge to drive the transformation processes. So can go for in terms of meeting international quality, safety, environmental standards, to establishing a business plan, to improving the governance, etc., sourcing from small scale farmers, establishing more robust systems, adopting digitalization along their value chain, and so on. And number three, it's about connecting, making the right connections, but within these ecosystems. So between companies, service providers, but between companies also in terms of B2B opportunities and for peer-to-peer learning. But it's also about facilitating and preparing actors to access finance. This is an approach that we are fully aligned with and on with IICA, and so it's of course my opportunity to also thank Allister and the entire IICA team for the continued and fruitful partnership that we started years ago, as was reminded by Allister. We started this during the pandemic with Isolina and Ini Harvey, and it was an example, of course, in a totally kind of different sector, but driving kind of innovation and change and seeing how we could do things in a different way in a very difficult and disrupted period. And it's an opportunity, of course, for me also to thank them for their work and for their drive and initiative. It's also the opportunity for me to thank all the speakers here today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing with all of us your knowledge, your experience, your stories. This is what makes really these sessions extremely insightful and provide really learning opportunities for all. And last but not least, of course, to all participants. And I really encourage you during the session to really connect between each other, to share your thoughts, perspectives, but also after the session to stay in contact through different channels, amongst which, of course, through the Agri Innovators platform. So thank you again for all of you. I won't take more time, and I wish you a fruitful session. Allister, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you very much, Jeremy. that was very insightful. It is something that we value indeed, the partnership. And as Jeremy would have said as he closed, it's important for us to continue sharing experiences, for us to build this network, this cadre of persons, agri-entrepreneurs who are interested in development and being competitive. And that's key. We don't just want to have persons access markets or introduce new products, but we want them to be competitive and be sustainable in their overall efforts. And we are appreciative of the contributions of the various presenters here this morning. As I indicated at the start, we have two panels, one firstly highlighting experiences and the work of the various agri-entrepreneurs. We're going to have 4 presenters, possibly 5 this morning. It's a very tight session, and we're going to hear from them shortly. And then we move to a second panel with 2 support entities. And that second panel will be moderated by my colleague, Nina Desalins, and she will come on shortly. I don't know if Nina has any few words before we get started. Nina, anything from you, or do you want to hold on? I'll be guided by you.
Hi, good morning. Nothing else to add. I think you and Jeremy did a really good welcoming remark, so I will speak in the second panel. Have a good session. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Nina. Just a bit of ground rules for our presenters. They'll each be presenting for an average of 8 to 12 minutes maximum. And prior to the conclusion of their session, we will give them a slight notification that they're running out of time. We encourage all participants on the call to take advantage of our chat feature. We ask you to place your questions or comments in the chat, and we will feature them and address them at the end of the overall session. So we want to remind you, please place your comments or questions in the chat. If you have contact information, place it in the chat. We will record it. Please know that all presentations and information, the overall recording is available on our YouTube channel, but presentations, biodata links, etc., are included in our Agro Innovators site, and we can share that information to you in the chat and also via email subsequently. So you can have access to the recording, have access to the information shared subsequent to the session, and you can share it with your partners, etc. The goal is that you can revisit the information and build capacity going forward. So let me get underway right away. I want to introduce our colleague from Grace Kennedy, and we're talking about Mr. David Crum-Ewing, who is the operations executive at Grace Kennedy Jamaica Limited. David is a results-driven executive with over 25 years of leadership experience in the overall industry, specifically related to marketing, supply chain, and operations across the food and agribusiness sectors. As operations executive at Grace, and specifically we're talking about the agro-processors division, with respect to food and services, he oversees 2 factories and a farmer network that drives record escalating output for the last few years, doubling canned ackee production and expanding jerk seasoning by 20% over the last 3 years. He also leads the creation of a research farm that sets new benchmarks in terms of hot pepper production in Jamaica. Previously, at Restaurants of Jamaica Limited, we're talking about KFC, Pizza Hut, Wendy's, etc., he earned Yum Brands recognition and delivered multi-million-dollar savings across the company in terms of the overall producer group. He was also involved in leadership roles at the Jamaica Producers Group and the Jamaica Broilers Group. Now, David holds an MBA from the University of New Orleans and a BA in marketing from the University of South Florida, with advanced training in project and change management. I think this is going to be a dynamic presentation. David seems to have a lot to share and a lot of experience. I want to welcome David to the platform and ask him to begin his presentation. David?
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. As was said, so Grace Agro-Processors is primarily in the business of, as your colleague stated, the production of hot pepper sauces, jerk seasonings, and some other canned Jamaican products, including the world-renowned ackee, which is part of Jamaica's national dish. And over the last couple of years, we have been converting our farmer network from just being farmers to what we now term as agripreneurs, and really encouraging them and giving them the tools to treat farming as a business, and seeing themselves as not just farmers, but also business persons. If you can move to the next slide, please. So in our business, while most of our products, about 94%, are actually exported, a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today can be applied to production for local consumption, because it's the basic principles that matter, not necessarily the end market. So one of our key raw materials is scallion. Some of you may know that as green onion. That is the primary ingredient for jerk seasoning. More than 50% of jerk formulations are scallion. Obviously the other ingredients are hot pepper, primarily habanero peppers, and Jamaica's world famous Scotch bonnet. Now, because that we are primarily geared towards export, as you know, there's a lot of global uncertainty around with various wars around the world, the tariffs, no tariffs in the USA, and other global factors. And what that has created is a lot of uncertainty, where our customers are very resistant to any sort of price movement at this moment in time because of those uncertainties. So in order to absorb some of those costs that we're having, because there are always cost increases, we have to help our farmers to, one, become more efficient. And how we do that is focus on how they reduce their costs, and also how they get more output per acre and increase their yields. Next slide, please. All right, so just to give you an idea of the scale of the business, so for 2026, this is what we'll be buying from farmers in our 3 core products. Our red peppers, which is red habanero, 1.75 million kilograms, Scotch bonnet 385,000 kilograms, and scallion 1.2 million kilograms. That in all is about $6 million worth of purchases into the small farmer network of Jamaica. Most of our farmers are anywhere from 5 to 50 acres. So really, we support the small farmer network, and Grace Kennedy's kind of modus operandi is giving opportunity to small farmers to be productive and be a part of our export initiatives, where this business is providing close to 20 million US worth of revenue and foreign exchange income to the overall Grace Kennedy business. Next slide, please. So, as I touched on earlier, in 2021, we created the Agripreneur Program, where we went to our farmer network and said that, you guys need to be more than just farmers now. You kind of need to step up your game. You need to treat farming as a business. And we're going to help you to do that and help you to put the tools together in order to meet this initiative. So there are basically 4 main things that farmers must be willing to do to be considered a Grace Kennedy agripreneur. One, they must treat their farm as a business, and that includes things like ensuring they have a registered business name, they have documented processes, they have documented financials, they have their nutritional plans documented. We also help that where we have field officers who go out and check on those things and make sure they're up to date and they're recording the right information as well, which helps them and helps us. Probably the most important is be willing to be open-minded and foster collaboration. You know, with farming communities, sometimes there are animosities amongst the farmers. Persons don't want to necessarily work with another farmer, etc. And it's kind of instilling that mindset that, you know, Jamaica's a dot on the map. And we need to work together to kind of make sure that that dot has the greatest impact as possible on the world. And we can't do that if we are, you know, not being open-minded and we don't foster collaboration, because we can't supply the world, but we need to maximize our production to be able to get our rightful share of what the world can offer. Utilization of science and technology, I'll touch on that a little bit further along. But when we look at our competitive set in terms of the region, places like the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, which are large growers of similar products, their access and application of science and technology is a little ahead of ours, so we need to play that catch up. And willing to implement proven best practices. So the Grace Kennedy team over the last couple of years, you know, we have been traveling the world to see what are the best practices, what are things that we can implement here. Some of those things have worked, some have not, and we've been adjusting as we go. Next slide, please. All right, so one of the proven results and successes of the initial agripreneur program was our Scallion Farmer Network. In 2021, we met with them, we introduced these ideas and looked at how we can do things differently. So one of the challenges that the Scallion farmers had was that their primary growing season was in the fourth quarter of the year, October to December. And because of climate change, the rain patterns have changed, where Jamaica's main rainfall for the year used to be in somewhere between March and May. Now our main rainfall is somewhere between October and November. And as a result, they were having a lot of flooding challenges, fields being flooded out, destruction of crops. And what we did was we worked with a company in Jamaica called Mona Geoinformatics, who one of the founder of Mona Geoinformatics is actually a director of Grace Kennedy, Dr. Paris Liuai. Some of you may know him from various regional interactions. And Mona Geoinformatics essentially uses global positioning to research various activities, one of that being weather and assisting Jamaican Met Service as well. And what we looked at is, okay, where is the rain falling? What is the changing climate doing? What is the optimal growing season now for a scallion? And that changed the optimal growing season from the fourth quarter of the year to mid Q1 to early Q2. So end of February till around about April. And just doing that one thing and getting farmers buying to that resulted in record production of scallion in 2022 with over 3 million kilograms produced in Jamaica. And just Grace Kennedy's portion of that pumped 2 million US into some small communities along the south coast of Jamaica where scallion is grown, which 2 million US might not seem like a lot of money, but amongst the communities that have little other opportunities for economic activity, that's quite significant. Next slide, please. So in continuation of that, once we kind of got scallion under control, then we started applying the same concepts to pepper. Pepper is a little more detail oriented. And I think in terms of any agricultural crop, this is when best practices come into play. and potentially persons can utilize some of these activities. So we have basically 5 main components to our pepper plan, which our pepper agripreneurs are initiating and have been working on over the last year and a half. We had some hiccups with that with Hurricane Beryl last year. We may have some hiccups again with a storm approaching Jamaica as we speak. But we are seeing benefits from these things. So one, active soil management, soil testing, knowing what's in your soil, knowing what you need in your soil for your particular crop. Working with technical partners in terms of the fertilizer companies, universities, understanding what we can do there. Use of soil enhancers. So a lot of you may have heard of what's termed as EM1, which is effective microbes, which we have been putting into our soils and we're seeing benefits from that. I'll speak on that a little more. Seed selection important. Our seed stock in Jamaica has kind of been declining over the last few years. And what we've done is been bringing in some first generation seeds from other places to build back that seed stock and the capability of that seed stock in getting the outputs that we want. Our nutritional plans. So whereas I would say probably 2.5, 3 years ago, you'd have one nutritional plan for the 100-day pepper crop, and you pretty much just implement that plan over the life of the crop. What we're seeing is that plan now needs to be continuously adjusted, probably every 30 days based on what you're seeing in the field, what the peppers are pulling from the soil. We've seen an issue this year where the plants are needing more manganese and having to use fertilizers with higher manganese components based on understanding what's happening in the fields and being able to make that change mid-cultivation. Another thing that we are working on is use of fertilizer and insecticides using our factory waste, which is organic. And I'll speak a little bit more about that as well.
You have 1 more minute though, David. 1 more minute.
All right, so let me just, next slide, please. All right, so I kind of spoke about soil already. These are the things that we need for hot pepper. And I think everybody would understand that soil management is critical. If you don't have what you need in your soil to start, you're already starting on your back foot. Next slide. Seed stock, spoke about that already. One thing that I just wanted to add here is in terms of in the Caribbean, we tend to have a tendency to try bring back plants that are looking like they're having issues. And it's creating the practice of once a plant has an issue, take it out and replant. You don't try to rescue that plant. It saves resources, saves time, and you get better production. Next slide, please. Soil enhancers, EM1, there are multiple brands around that you can use. You can find them online. We're finding that with EM1, if you use it correctly and you follow the guidelines of how to use it, we have seen as high as 30% savings in fertilizer and pesticide costs because it allows the plant to be healthier. A healthier plant attracts less pests, needs less fertilizer. Next slide, please. Nutritional plans I spoke about, right? You can go move to the next slide. All right, so organic pesticide and fertilizer. So we are currently using a biodigestion process, using things like our callaloo, where we have callaloo that may not meet quality specifications, and using that as a fertilizer. Callaloo in itself has a lot of beneficial properties. It's high in iron, it's high in sulfur, a lot of the things that plants need anyway. And we're using the capsaicin from peppers to create our pesticide. We've seen that effective on mites and worms, which are 2 of our biggest pest challenges in Jamaica. And that significant cost reduction and using synthetic pesticides. So for example, a miticide in Jamaica costs around $100 per liter. We can make this product available to our farmer network for about $30 per liter. So a significant savings in their pesticide needs there. And it's also organic. So we can reduce that impact on the workers. We can reduce that impact on our products. We can meet stringent requirements such as our Canadian customers, which require a lot of test results to be sent to them before we can ship to them. And because this is organic, you can use this right up to harvesting.
David, I'd like to ask you to wrap up in 30 seconds. So interesting, but if you could wrap up, we'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think this is my last slide. Okay, so one last slide. So use of technology. We are looking at using technology in Jamaica. So weather modeling I spoke about before. We're looking at using our drones and satellite imagery for early detection of pests in fields. The challenge is that the technology exists. What doesn't exist is the detection software. So we're working with several universities to build a software that feeds the drone and the satellite information as to what to look for in the field. And then we're also working with University of the West Indies and Caribbean Maritime University to potentially use robots for pepper harvesting. Harvesting robots do exist, but there's not one for hot pepper yet. So that's something that we're actively working on as we speak to hopefully be able to create a robot that can pick hot pepper. And I think that should be the end. Yes.
David, I want to thank you for that awesome presentation. I knew this would have been we'd have gotten from Grace Kennedy, and we're greatly appreciative. I want to encourage persons to place their comments or questions in the chat. We heard a lot from you, David, particularly the focus of Grace Kennedy by giving back to the farmers, purchasing from farmers, giving them opportunities. And there's always that call for persons to be part of your agripreneur program where they can improve their yields and counter, as you said, the impacts from the various challenges, climate change, etc. But it seems Grace Kennedy is a learning company. You all seem to be always advancing and taking advantage of the opportunities out there. And we heard a lot about what you're doing in terms of soil management, looking at improving seed stock, which is a critical issue for us in the region to help us boost our yields, etc. And the incorporation of technology and innovation, whether working with the university and other entities to incorporate digital solutions, enhancing what you all do. And we look forward to hearing, indeed, very soon, a robot that does pick peppers. So I want to thank you for that presentation. It was incredible. Again, persons, please put your comments and questions in the chat. We want to move on and go from up north in Jamaica, and we're going to go to the southeastern part of the Caribbean. We're going to head to Suriname, where we are going to hear from Maryan Setrodikoro, who's the director at Eden Herbs and Spices in Suriname. Now, Maryan is the director of Eden Herbs and Spices, and this is a Surinamese company that specializes in medicinal herbal products. And under Maryan's leadership, the company has expanded its product line to include teas, powders, spices, capsules, and hormone remedies, which are selectively distributed to ensure proper customer guidance. In September of 2024, Maryan received 8 new production machines through the Suriname Growth Enterprise Program. And this is a program that is World Bank funded, and we happen to have World Bank on the program this morning. And it's aimed at enhancing the competitiveness of local businesses. This investment has enabled Eden Herbs and Spices to fully automate the production of its 18 products, leading to increased output and improved quality. Additionally, Setrodikoro has embraced digital commerce, utilizing platforms like TakeApp to facilitate online orders and payments, thereby expanding the company's reach and customer engagement. We are really pleased to have Maryan on this morning. Maryan, please, you have 10 minutes to facilitate your presentation. Thank you. And we're seeing your presentation as well, so you can proceed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, everyone. My name is Maryan Setrodikoro. I am the CEO of Eden Herbs and Spices. Allister already did the introduction very well. We are not a big company as the presentation just now. We are not even 4 years in production. Next slide, please. Yes. We are located in the district Wanica in Suriname, and we work together because we are not that huge of a company. We work together with partners like ASAP Agrifarm. We work with cooperations. We have a large outgrowers group in Crum-Ewing, in Maryan, in Saramacca, in Para. We work together with Sir Organic Hydrocrop. Susila is our co-trainer. So she gets paid by us, by my company, to train our outgrowers. And we also work with indigenous in Pierre Condre. They are from the cooperation IICA-COLEAD for working, processing. Next slide. So our company is specialized or focused in the processing of medicinal and non-medicinal herbs and spices. We use no preservatives. We use pure and natural production. We use machines, clean production. We don't even do sun-dry our products or raw material. We have in our basic production line 5 herbs. That is the ginger, the gotu kola. Many people know the gotu kola as the Indian pennywort. We grow it ourselves. We have the moringa, the hibiscus or sorrel, and the turmeric. These 5 products we produce as tea powder and capsules. Next, please. So this is a product line or complete product line I have set for the presentation. We have more. We have also oils, but we also have products like shuru iced tea. We have lemongrass iced tea. We also have the shredded coconut. And the spices we have are herbs, red pepper flakes. We have black pepper. We have our number 1 product, that's the Naioli herbal oil, and we have coconut oil, but in a smaller scale. Next, please. These are some of our products. They are packed well. We work together. Our packaging is printed in China. We already have about 3.5 years of partnership in China. So the total package line is designed by me personally, and the communications goes through me, and the printing happens in China. I want to share also a small production video, if it's possible. Can the video be shared with everyone?
Yes, I think we're seeing the video.
Okay, I don't see the video. But the video, what happens, how we work together with other companies who have the same, they deliver the same quality, the same cleanliness of production, and the raw material goes to Pierre Condre, and they clean the raw material for us. And if it's finished, they pack it and then deliver it to my company. Yes.
We saw the video, Maryan, and we're back to the slides now.
Okay. I just see the video now. This is this hibiscus production.
So we saw the video already. It showed on our screens, and we are back at the slide that says challenges in production. So we saw the sorrel production. We saw on the conveyor belt. So we saw the video. Okay, I think some persons didn't see it, but I saw it. I don't know why is it that I saw it. Maybe we can share the video in the chat, the link in the chat, if that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I just now see the video that is rolling. This in the video you see the production unit of the Cooperatie Assayakaweno in Pierre Conre. It's a number of about 10 women working in this production unit.
Maryan, I think you can proceed, Maryan. Yeah, we're back on the presentation. The slide is challenges in production.
Yes. So a small company, we also have challenges in the production. Climate change, what we had a lot of drought passing months. So we have, because our growers, they cultivate in an open field, they had a lot of crop losses. There was too much drought. And because of these losses, there was fluctuating prices of the raw material. Another challenge that we have on technology and innovation is that local companies, when they have built machines, processing machines, the costs are very high. So it's not, you will not have the return of investment in 3 or 5 years. And the machines they already have over here in Suriname, they are too expensive, or you cannot find what you are looking for. The challenges on human capital, there is a small pool of qualified processing and maintenance technician in Suriname. So we are every time busy looking for professionals. Next slide, please. Next slide. I think the slide is stuck, but we also have finances and export challenges. On financial terms, there is a high and very difficult access to low interest financial resources. And when you need money and you think you just take a loan, the interests are very high. So it's not a good thing for your company, especially mine that's just a few years old. The challenges we have in the cross-border trade, the logistic costs are very high, and often it comes with delays, and we are not able yet to fill up a container, a 40-feet container. So what we do is we do small shipments. Certification is also very something we have problem with because it is very expensive. the ISO 2018. It is a very expensive certification, and it takes a lot to reach to have that certification for a small company as mine. Also, we have the challenge on the regulatory compliances. Next slide, please. Okay. I've summed up the challenges, but we also deal with these challenges because you have to go on, you have to move on. Whether you're a small company or a large company, you have to do something about it. So what we do is we work with different cooperations, national on natural base in different districts. We work with cooperations, and they have their own outgrowers pool. Their outgrowers are trained by our agronomists. And so we don't manage the outgrowers, the cooperation is doing that. What we also have is for the price not going up and down fast, we sign contracts for the year-round price. And because of my my background, I am able to order the production machine directly from the factories in China. We just design what we need, and then they deliver in China. We just started with the women group in Pierre Condré, and they help a lot with the first phase of the production line. So we get a lot of help. So we a bit of the work that has to be done comes from my shoulder. And regarding about the technician maintenance, we have part-time maintenance personnel who are on our speed dial. So if something might happen, what does not often, then we call them, and they are coming within 30 minutes or an hour. We also have payment agreements with our suppliers because we have different herbs that we process, and it can sometimes be a lot together, a lot of finances together. So we have arrangements with the suppliers of our raw material.
1 minute to wrap up, Maryan.
Also, yes, we also have we are working with freight forwarder to also manage the transportation of our goods to different countries in the region. And we are also now busy with the preparation of the certification. And we have a very close relationship with the Ministry of Agriculture and in Economic Affairs. Next slide, please. So we are planning the expansion for regional markets, and our target markets are the CARICOM countries, Latin America, the Netherlands, and Dubai. This month, our product will go to Dubai. We have a first delivery for Dubai. The preparation towards the expansion, we are now upscaling and optimizing our packages, the quality and the consistency, and we are establishing contacts with companies in the relevant markets. So we have to work together to accomplish what we are planning to do. There are opportunities. There's a high demand for natural pure product, and the challenges are still our logistics, the regulation, the certification, and also we know there is a lot of competition, but we will not back down. Next slide, please. To conclude, Aiden Herbs and Spices is ready to talk business. Although we have the logistic and regulation challenges, but we see opportunity in expansion to the Caribbean market and also partnerships, because our future goal is growing export and our contribution to healthy citizens in the region. Next. Next, please. So if there is interest, this is our contact information. We are reachable by email, WhatsApp. I also put the. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maryan. Really, really awesome work that you all are doing there in Suriname. I like that you're focusing on partnerships, whether engaging suppliers out of China or the local inputs into your production. And you highlighted the work you all are doing with Indigenous women, particularly in that Pierre Condré district. It's interesting that you're also working with the Ministry of Agriculture. It's always useful for us to partner with our government players to support us. And I know from your bio, the work that you all have done with the World Bank as well. You highlighted all the challenges that we've been talking about, particularly talking about the human resource constraints. And I hope that as we're talking about networks and sharing of experiences, we can get persons from across our network to be able to contribute to the work that you are doing and support you when necessary with the human resource constraints. And it's commendable that you all are doing contract arrangements with your suppliers. That's interesting, and that's something that we need to build on across our agripreneurship universe. And the importance of certification, particularly with respect to agricultural health and the quality of food systems. So we want to thank you again for your inputs, Maryan, and wish you all the success. And I'm sure persons will have comments and queries for you as we go forward. I want to move on quickly. Time is against us a bit, and introduce our next speaker. And he's presenting via video. He's unable to make it due to another commitment. And we're talking about Mr. Larry Holder from Novo Foods out of Trinidad and Tobago. And Mr. Holder is the public relations executive at Novo Foods, which is a Trinidad and Tobago-based company. It produces and distributes consumer food products under the brand Life, and it includes instant and frozen foods as well as beverages. And it has over 15 years of experience in business development across various sectors. Now, Larry is a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing and has a background and passion for public and personal relations. He's passionate about the ocean and regularly scuba dives, very, very interesting, without vacation. And Larry firmly believes in empowering staff to the point where they themselves can leave, but treating them well enough so that they can choose to stay at the company. We welcome Larry's presentation, his video. And again, please feel free to give your comments and questions in the chat, and contact details for Larry will also be provided. I'll pass over to Nina to share the video.
Hi, good day. My name is Larry Holder, and as the bio would have said, I am a representative of the Novo group of companies. Firstly, let me start off by apologizing for not being there in person. And by in person, I mean live on the session at this point. Today is actually a very important day for me. My goddaughter is graduating from the university with a double major in biochemistry and chemistry. And I'm super proud. It's been a few years well, and I'm looking forward to seeing her collect her documents and so on. Having said that, I did take some time to put together a bit of a presentation that should tell everyone a little bit about Novo as a group of companies and where we see ourselves going and how it could affect other micro and small entrepreneurs. So at this point, I'm just gonna set up and share my screen. I'll go to slideshow. Right, so here we go. Okay, so here we are, Novo Farms, and you're going to see the name Life tossed about at a few points here. And that's because Life is our consumer-facing brand. Novo is a group of companies, and we're involved in several different sectors, such as technology, media, communications, and of course, agriculture. And Life is our consumer-facing brand that you will see across our line of products. Novo Farms is essentially, and it's not just me saying it, we are a leading agro-processor in Trinidad and Tobago. This is something that would have been shared with me after visits from state representatives from Barbados, Suriname, Guyana, and so on. They visited our facility and expressed how satisfied they were with the level at which we conduct ourselves and what we have to offer. It is something that allows us to do our agro-processing in a climate-smart way, in a way that would facilitate what we want to do in terms of taking our products from farm to home. Of course, Novo, we have a technology background. We got started in that field, doing work primarily with mobile technology many years ago, probably about almost 18 years ago at this point. We also would have done some work in terms of the mobile payment space and digital payments. We did some work with identity management and border control. But at the end of the day, food security is the most important thing, or rather it should be the most important thing for our countries. And we believe that the best way for us to give back to our country is to invest our time and our resources into food security and help take some of the products from Trinidad and Tobago and get them out, not just, in our region, but on an international level. These are some of the members of our team, members of our executive, members of our management team, and of course, some of our other members who have been with the company for several years. Once you have the right team, you can get things done. This particular picture took place after we had a very eventful trade show that I'll chat about that in a little while. Let me show you some of the products that we offer. We take local products from Trinidad and Tobago and we convert them into an instant format where you simply have to add hot water and stir, and you have a portion of that item, whether it be callaloo, dal, corn soup, baigan choka, or tomato choka. Baigan, some persons would call it eggplant or melanjan. And instead of choka, some persons may refer to it as a salsa. Any of those items there, you just add hot water and mix. We even have Caribbean oil down. And of course, we know oil down is the national dish over in Grenada. And it is our offerings that we have appeal to the entire regional diaspora. So Caribbean people that are located in Canada, in the United States, in England, and so on, they can all get a taste of home from our products. And here's the thing. When you open a pack of our products, what you get in the pack is the same thing that you get in the pot. There's no chemical preservatives added at all. And we are quite proud of that. We also have a frozen line. And with the frozen line, we have items such as sweet potato fries, dasheen fries, cassava fries, grated coconut, grated cassava, pumpkin cubes, corn soup packs, provision packs, and so on. And once again, no preservatives. If you see that we are selling sweet potato fries, it is 100% sweet potato fries. There's no regular potatoes added to it, ever. And again, we're quite proud of that. Now, we also have a beverage line. We spoke about sweet potato fries a short while ago. And because we believe strongly in having a circular ecosystem and ensuring that we are environmentally sustainable, we decided to take some of the leftover bits from our French fries. Now, when it comes to French fries, customers, when they purchase, they want some uniformity in the fries they get from the pack. And we found that we had a certain amount of fries of the smaller bits that were simply not being used in the packs of fries. So instead of just discarding them and contributing to waste, we decided to use that towards making a new product, and we came up with sweet potato rum punch. You know what they say? In good times, people drink alcohol. In bad times, people drink alcohol. So it's something that could be good for the company financially. Of course, we're looking at these rum punches will be sealed in pouches. So we don't want to use typical glass or plastic bottles. We want to go with something that's a little bit different for different reasons, such as safety. We have seen instances where, based on the type of packaging that people use, it could lead to the glass breaking and so on, and different other concerns. This way you can avoid some of those problems. Now, we have other items in the beverage line that will be made public within the next week. I can't say anything about it now, but trust me, it is going to be very exciting, and I highly recommend that you follow our social media pages, Life Novo on Instagram and Facebook. We're also on TikTok, and you should see some updates there very soon. These are some of the trade shows that we had participated in. Last year, we were in the Agricultural Expo in Port of Spain, Trinidad. The picture you're seeing there is one of the moments where the crowd was actually quite controlled. In all honesty, for the duration of this event, it was non-stop persons visiting our booths and trying our different products. And of course, when we're at these events, we get customer feedback and consumer feedback. There's a difference. Your customers buy, your consumers eat. And not always will the customer and the consumer be the same person. But when you do sampling at events like this, you get an opportunity to meet with both groups and get very valuable feedback. In addition to that, we did the American Food and Beverage Expo in Miami, Florida. And over there, once again, we got really good feedback in testing our products and getting them exposed to persons living in South Florida and other parts of the US. But we also met with several distributors and retailers to find out about some of the challenges that Caribbean companies would typically have getting in to the North American market and what we could do to circumvent those challenges. Beyond that, we even did Grocery Innovations Canada in 2024. We did it in 2023, as you would have seen in that very early photo. And here we are once again in 2024, and we'll be there once again in 2025. And once again, we got to meet with persons with slightly different taste palettes. And that would allow us to get more and more feedback that would be crucial to understanding where our products would sit in the market. Given the size of our products, it's quite exportable. So we're easily in the local market and the foreign market, something a lot of companies have difficulty with. Our instant products are quite suitable for export. Now, when you want to look at export and getting into the different markets, you have to make sure you dot all your I's and cross all your T's. We have our certification from Chemistry, Food and Drugs right here in Trinidad and Tobago. We also have our registration with the Food and Drug Administration from the United States. We also did our HACCP and our relevant ISO certifications from different organizations to ensure that we are able to hold ourselves to a certain standard and get ourselves in the markets that we want to be in, to be as successful as we believe we can be. Now in 2023, we won a few awards. If we start in the top left, we won something for environmental from the one of the chambers of commerce. We also won something for innovation and export from the Supermarket Association. The Manufacturers Association gave us an award for most successful new market entrant. But most importantly, in 2023, we got an award in Canada at the trade show Grocery Innovations Conference for being one of the top 10 in groceries. Now, just so you know, the competition would have been companies such as Heinz, Hellmann's, Tim Hortons, Starbucks, Nestle, and several others that I can't remember at this point. And our company was given most convenient product and one of the top 10 in grocery. Only 10 awards were given at the show. We were one of the 10, and we are still quite touched about it. Last year, we picked up another 2 awards. These 2 were picked up by the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association. one for innovation and one for being Manufacturer of the Year for the medium-sized category. But where do we go from here? You've seen some of our products. I've mentioned we have new things coming. I've even shown some of the awards that we've won. But where do we go from here? We are going towards partnerships. We want to meet with micro and small entrepreneurs, and we want to find out what challenges they are having and see what we can do to help. Maybe we can help you scale up production. Maybe we can help you with your business plans. Maybe we can help you get into more retail spaces. Maybe we can help you redesign your labels. These are things that we are willing to consult and discuss with different smaller companies to ensure that we give them the opportunities that we knew we were seeking at one point. We want to help you all get in front of the different shelves, get in the different storefronts, and there's different ways to pull this off. One of them is working with companies such as us. This is, of course, the example of scaling up production, just to show what we have to offer, a bit of it. We have our own retail spaces that we'll be launching very soon. The first of which will actually be at the Piarco International Airport in Trinidad, and it's in the duty-free area. And yeah, it's going to be a very nice premium spot to have your products. So let's say you need us to help you scale up your production, and we believe that it's a relationship that benefits both parties. And of course, we're not the only ones who want to benefit. We want the entrepreneurs to benefit as well. Let's all work together and see if we can do something that makes sense. Get your products into our storefront and see if it's a relationship that'll be fruitful for everyone involved. We also have other storefronts we'll be looking at, and more on those things will be revealed in due time. Now let's look at where we are at the moment. All of these pins, those location pins, those represent areas where we're based, where we're located. We're in the Caribbean region. We are in North America. We're in Florida. We're in Texas. We are in various parts of the greater New York area. We are in Toronto. We are in London, and we are working on finalizing and properly establishing our European presence. We've had really fruitful conversations, and we are quite excited and humbled by what awaits us there. And I guess given that this session involves co-lead, it makes sense that we talk a little bit about the European market, right? And ensure that people know we're going to be there very soon. Now, if you have any questions and you want to get in touch with us, you want to find out a little bit more about how we can potentially work together, or maybe you want to find out some more about our products, maybe you want to try it in some of your stores, I don't know, reach out to me. This is my email address, larryrych@novo.co.tt. You can write me anytime. I am looking forward to hearing from you all, and I do hope that this session was enjoyable, and I also hope that you keep following us on social media. Don't forget, Life Novo. Just search for us on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, and you will see some of what we're up to over the course of the next week. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present to you via this method, and thank you for accepting my humble apology for missing the session with all of you today. Have a wonderful day, and I hope the rest of the day is just as successful.
I want to thank Mr. Holder for that presentation. It was indeed enjoyable. Made me very hungry, but enjoyable indeed. And it's interesting that we're using the technology today, the very same challenges we spoke about, we're using the technology even to support this particular activity by having a presentation done with the slides, etc. It's clear that Novo is offering a diverse range of exotic products. We heard the range from beverages, actual physical products, the sweet potato fries, the cassava fries, the oil dung, all the fancy foods that we've come to love over the years. And what I like is that they're incorporating technology and innovation in their various practices. And he said something that resonated in my mind, the whole focus on establishing a circular ecosystem and not allowing much food waste. And that is something that we can incorporate in our business practices. and it allows us to be more competitive versus having all this food waste. And this is something even in Barbados we've been looking at in some of our work activity. The company seems very export driven, and they have a number of markets, not just in the Caribbean, North America, and as I said, they're looking to establish their footprint in the EU. And what's something that I appreciate is the fact that they're very consumer driven, trying to understand the various consumer preferences, and they're doing a lot of market research. It seems a very marketing driven type of presentation, and we really appreciated it. And more importantly, Novo is competing. Novo is competing. It reminded me of something that Maryan said earlier when she said that they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. So I want to applaud the work of Novo and thank them for their presentation. I invite the audience to contact Mr. Holder and the Novo team. His email information was provided. And please feel free again to put your comments and questions in the chat. We want to move on quickly to our last presentation for this particular segment, and it's going to be by Maria Luisa Luque Sánchez, who's the co-founder of Nuup, Mexico, and we call her Malu for short. I hope that's okay if we continue saying Malu.
Yes.
And Maria has more than 15 years of experience in finance and financial modeling, partnership building, project management, and social innovation with a strong focus on agri-food systems. The first half of her career was spent working in finance, and this was in Brussels at Fortis Bank, and especially in London following that, where she worked in investment banking and Goldman Sachs. And from this period in financing, she retained a lot of quantitative and risk management, rather risk analysis skills. The second part of her career, though, would have taken place in Mexico, where, as we said, she has been very active in the social entrepreneurship element. She's been working in that social entrepreneurship ecosystem, firstly at Ashoka, collaborating and then leading the area that collaborated with large companies and social entrepreneurs to develop high impact and highly scalable ventures. Then she co-founded Nuup in 2015 with the idea of responding to the challenges that small scale, and I say that again, that small scale producers face on a daily basis. As a social entrepreneur and with her experience, she has supported other social enterprises as an advisor, as in the case of the sustainable fishing marketer Smartfish and its sister NGO Rescate de Valor, or being on the board of CEO Plataforma and its impact investment with CEO Capital. Now, Malu, as I said, that's her affectionate name, holds a master's in commercial engineering from the Solvay Business School of the Université Libre de Bruxelles and a master's in public administration from the School of International and Public International Affairs at Columbia University in New York. As we have heard, she's a dynamic individual, very driven, very passionate about social entrepreneurship, and she brings something different and appealing to us here at the Agribusiness Food Series. Malu, please take the floor, and you have 10 minutes to deliver your presentation. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. My name is Malu, and I am the co-founder of Nuup. Nuup means connection or collaborating in Maya, and that is really, it speaks a lot in terms of what we do and who we are. If you help me to the next page, please. Nuup, what we do, we decided when we started Nuup to set up the organization as a non-for-profit. This is because of several reasons. We wanted to provide farmers with services and access to technical assistance, better markets, better finance, but also technology. And we were seeing how the agtech landscape was being built in Mexico. And we decided to set up a non-for-profit organization that would develop technology because we wanted to make sure that at all times the data would always belong to the farmers and that we would always respect elements of data privacy and how data was being used. With this in mind, Nuup is a Mexican social enterprise committed to accelerating the transition to a more sustainable and inclusive food system. And we envision value chains that promote and scale regenerative farming practices. So this is really what we wake up for in the morning. We are a team of approximately 50 people. mostly working in the southeast part of Mexico, but also in the central region, which is a very important region for both agriculture and livestock. If you help me to the next page. Nuup over time has changed a lot. I mean, we started 10 years ago, and as any small enterprise, we've adapted, learned, and changed over time. Today, we have 4 distinct services with which we work with smallholder farmers in order to make our vision come true. First of all, we've developed a team of agronomists, veterinarians, hydrologists, and other specialists that basically work with the farmers in implementing regenerative and agronomic solutions. This work is done in the field, and we always try to combine recommendations to farmers that are good for their pockets and that are good for the crop, of course, but also for the environment. So we really work trying to combine these 3 objectives so that at all points we are recommending farmers and working with farmers on how to improve their crops, but also how to have an impact in their wallets and in the environment. We work mostly around livestock, both for milk production and meat production. We also work in the strawberry value chain. We also work in the agave for tequila value chain. We work on several grains, coffee, honey, and in all of these different value chains, this leads me to the second area of work that we do. We have a strong focus on connecting farmers with buyers. We work with very large companies. For example, in the strawberry value chain, we have a partnership with Danone to develop with them traceable sourcing for half of the strawberry they purchase for all of North America. And this allows basically to secure purchase agreements for the farmers, but also to have the capacity to invest in technical assistance and in farmers' infrastructure over time. But we also work with small companies. We also work with coffee cooperatives. We also work with the leading, it's a very small firm, but it's the leading brand of grass-fed meat in Mexico. And so we work with very large companies, but we also work with smaller entities that are very dynamic and that are pushing the boundary in terms of having more traceability or more transparent value chains. And this allows us basically, when we go with the farmers in terms of recommending practices in the field, to do it knowing that there's a market that is there at the end of the day and that we can actually create the kind of direct connection to it. We've also developed a very strong work around digital solutions because we believe that it's critical to have access to information to make better decisions. In some crops, like for example, strawberry, in Mexico, a lot of the farmers plant without any coverage. So they're really exposed to heavy rains. A night with low temperatures can take away 10% of your harvest. So basically, we've built some models to provide farmers with recommendations and guidance in terms of how to irrigate or use, let's say, climate in their advantage, or at least mitigate risks. But we've also developed CIRIO, which I will talk about in a second. And then finally, we've developed a blended financing solution because farmers also have a lot of challenges in accessing to capital, but actually lenders, so savings and credit cooperatives and other local lenders and ag-focused lenders also face a lot of challenges in order to lend to that farmer that is very far away for a small loan and that maybe doesn't have any asset to provide as collateral. We've developed several solutions. For example, with philanthropic capital, we have set up a guarantee mechanism whereby our initiative that is called COA can provide the lender and the farmer with a guarantee so that the loan can go on. No? So these are the different strategies that Nuup has developed. And if you help me with this next slide, please. This shows a little bit of where we are present. Mexico is a very large country, and our operations and work is really focusing on the southeast and the central part of Mexico. And if you help me to the next slide, please. And here I want to kind of go a little bit deeper into Sirio. Sirio is a spin-off that we've created. Actually, we started working with coffee cooperatives around how to digitalize their data so they could year on year prepare better for their, for example, certification processes, but also instead of using Excel and paper for all the aggregation of coffee and payments to the farmers and so on, we saw that this could be done with a very simple SaaS type of platform. But we need to consider that these cooperatives are working in extremely complex network situations, and also that these farmers, I mean, they use WhatsApp, they use different apps, but there's a technology barrier that we also had to think through. So basically, we co-designed with 3 coffee cooperatives a digital platform that could allow coffee cooperatives to work through their data universe and actually be able to manage it. This is the first mobile, it has an offline first mobile application that allows to gather data when the coffee cooperative team is visiting each farmer to prepare data for certification on where farmers are delivering coffee. And then it has a web console where the coffee cooperative managers can basically follow up on several dashboards and data. If you can help me to the next one. Sirio, therefore, is very important. It was really designed to work offline. So this is really, really critical. It's super simple and user-friendly. So when a coffee cooperative decides to use Sirio today, the training time is like 1 day. In 1 day, they are ready to deploy and they are ready to use Sirio. It has a modular design, so the cooperative can decide, I want this, I don't want that. They can basically adjust. Again, it has these offline adoption strategies because, again, we cannot rely on seeing videos on YouTube when your electricity goes away 3 times a day or network, God knows what. And then very important, farmers own their data. So any data that goes into Sirio, the cooperative owns that data. This is very important in the context, for example, of EUDR. So Sirio is building the capacity to have all the data that is necessary to comply with the European directive that is coming, so that the data is of the cooperative and the cooperative can decide to provide the data to whoever is buying the coffee. What we saw in Mexico is that many large companies and brokers were actually starting to collect the data of the farmers, but then the farmer had to sell to that broker because they didn't have their own data, basically, and the cost of collecting data is very high. So here we want to put kind of like power in the farmer cooperative's hands so they can decide at any time who they provide the data to and who they sell to. If you help me to the next one, please.
Malu, you have 1 more minute to wrap up, please. Thank you.
Perfect. So basically, for Sirio and going back to the subject of entrepreneurship, we created a separate entity that could work on this solution. It's developing the capacity to detect deforestation risks. It's developing the capacity for data queries through AI. So it's building up and developing. And if you help me to the next one, right now it's working already. To the next one, please. It's working already on Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and we are looking forward to deploying throughout Latin America. And again, it's really a farmer-focused digital solution that we built over the last years. And that's everything on Nuup and Sirio today. Thank you.
Malu, I want to thank you for the presentation. Very, very moving in terms of the work that you all are doing with these various cooperatives and very methodical in your approach. Those 4 pillars with respect to blended financial solutions, looking at access to markets, regenerative and agronomic solutions, and for me, very important, applying digital solutions to addressing the problems. So I want to commend Nuup for what it's doing, and hopefully you can share some of your experiences further along the way with our colleagues, our networks here, and we look forward to that ongoing collaboration. So again, let me thank you for that really insightful presentation. Colleagues, we need to move on quickly. I think I took up too much time talking. I want to pass over to my colleague, Nina from COLEAD, who's going to take us to the second panel. I just want to thank everyone from the various ECO offices and COLEAD that supported putting together these presentations and the presenters. Thanks to my colleagues, in Barbados, and thanks to the IICA Director General for further supporting this program and the various heads of the various hemispheric programs that IICA has. Thank you again. Passing on to Nina.
Thank you, Allister. So, hi everyone. I am Nina Desanlis-Perrin, Project Officer in the Networks and Alliances Department at COLEAD, based in Brussels. So thank you to the entrepreneurs and to Allister for this first panel. It was both interesting and engaging, highlighting the challenges and opportunities in transforming agri-food systems across the Caribbean and Mexico. Now for the second panel, we will hear insights from experts in the sector. So in fact, the full potential of entrepreneurs can only be realized if enabling conditions are strengthened. Governments, regional bodies, and development partners must work together to remove structural barriers, expand access to finance, invest in digital and physical infrastructure, harmonize standards, and ensure gender and youth inclusive policies. So we will first hear from Juan Carlos Estrada. He's a commercial support technician for the Secretariat for Central American Economic Integration. Juan Carlos works in the Department of Knowledge Management and Trade Promotion, supporting SIECA's academic programs and trade initiatives, including virtual business fairs that foster regional business linkages and strengthen economic integration in Central America. Juan Carlos, the floor is yours.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much, Nina, for the introduction. It's a pleasure for SIECA to be in this space. And today we're gonna be talking about the virtual business fairs that SIECA promotes throughout its platform. So I'm gonna share my screen. To talk to you about the virtual business fairs. Well, first of all, SIECA's virtual business fairs are made on its own platform, which is in Spanish is Red Centroamericana de Comercio, but in English is Central American Trade Network. Basically, the Central American Trade Network is a virtual regional platform for trade information and intelligence managed by SIECA. It also serves as the largest virtual business directory in Central America, and it promotes trade within Central America and with other markets. It has a direct and positive impact on the population economy. This is its logo, and it is a really useful platform. It is almost like a social network where you will be able to register your company. It doesn't matter the size of it or which type of businesses you're doing. The Central American Trade Network basically create and expand business networks while reducing costs and bridging distances between entrepreneurs from all over the world. Here on the platform are made the virtual business fairs, which I will talk about later. And you can also stay informed about the economy in the region. Basically, in the Central American Trade Network, there are more than 31,000 registered businesses. We have made till date more than 43 virtual business fairs. We have achieved 14,000 business meetings. And we are very proud of this because we have this estimated amount of intended business deals, which surpasses the $300 million. Well, how to register on the Central American Trade Network? It is really easy. You just have to go to this link. And then, as you can see on the image, there is the option to sign up for the first time. And I will share my screen later, showing you the platform as such. But let me talk to you about the virtual business fairs that we have in the platform. Basically, on the virtual business fairs, you will have the opportunity to interact with companies from almost all over the world, mainly from Central America, from Latin America, but as well from Europe, Asia, etc. You will be able to choose the companies with which you wish to schedule a meeting. And you may schedule as many meetings as you wish, depending on the availability of the virtual business matchmaking event and the companies. You will hold video conferences on this platform. We don't use any other platform, and you will be able to share your screen and present what your company is about. Basically, you will have the opportunity to find potential business partners with whom to conclude deals. And we're here to invite you to be on our next Caribbean Virtual Agrifood Virtual Business Fair. It is its 5th edition, and will be held from October 28th to the 30th. As you can see, here are the participating sectors: food preparations, non-alcoholic beverages, fruit, packaging, bakery products, seafood, tobacco, sugar, etc. So if you have any company which has any product or services regarding this economic sectors, you can participate. And to participate, you have to do 2 steps. The first one is to register on the Central American Trade Network. And the second one is once you have completed your profile, you have to request participation. Here, as you can see, there is the logo of the virtual business fair. And well, something important to tell you, we will always, this is completely free. You don't have to pay anything, nor for registering, nor for participating on the virtual business fair as such. And we will also have a business specialist who will guide you throughout all of the process. He will be able to address your questions, guide you, and assist you. You will receive guidance on how to be present and which products are like the best one to participate with. So you have to be clear that there will always be someone who will help you during the participation and during the event as such. As well, if you need translation from English to Spanish, we will also help you. Well, now I'm gonna share you how the platform works. Give me 1 second. Okay. So basically, this is the platform, okay? The Central American Trade Network. And something important to tell you is that we have the platform in English as well. So you have to change it here on the upper side, right corner. So you can change the language for you to know. So then once you sign up, you will see this. And as you can see, here is the logo of the Virtual Business Fair. So once you click there, you will see the current Virtual Business Fairs that we will have in the near future. And you just have to request participation. Okay, so I'm gonna show you. Okay, as you can see here, we cannot request participation because that is an important step you have to do first. So you have to go to your profile and you have to fulfill every blank space that you have here. So once you have fulfilled each blank space and your profile is completed, you will be able to access to the Virtual Business Fair. And okay, so this is what you will see once you requested participation and you was accepted then. So you have to click on enter and you will see the Virtual Business Fair as such. You have to go to Business Fair. And here, as you can see, here are the number of companies that are currently participating. And here is a filter where you can filter by name, by country, by sale interest, by purchase interest, by language, etc. And for example, once you found a profile of your interest, you click on the profile. And then it will display like the main information of the company. You will see the purchase interest, if the company has or not any sale interest, their representatives, so that you will need to enter representatives information for us to contact you and to remember you. Hey, you have this meeting in an hour. So as well, you can see the products, and here you will have the schedule agenda where you can select the day and the hour that you want to request a meeting with this company. As you can see, there are some reserved spaces, so you cannot reserve on that spaces as such. But for example, if you found a space that you are interested to schedule a meeting with, you just have to write very brief interest of the meeting and then just request. So once you have requested the meeting, you will have the meetings on this other side.
Juan Carlos, if you can wrap up in under 1 minute, thank you.
Okay. So basically, what we want is to bridging distances between companies. This is completely free. You will have the opportunity to have meetings with other companies and to increase your potential businesses. Here, well, I will let my email address on the chat. So if you're interested in participating, just let me know. Thank you so much for having SIECA today. That's it for right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Juan Carlos, for this presentation of the virtual trade mission. Hopefully a lot of the participants will register. So now we're gonna hear from Melissa Brown, a senior agriculture economist working in Latin America and the Caribbean. She has worked extensively on projects supporting climate resilience, agribusiness partnerships, rural entrepreneurship, agricultural research, and regional integration. And following up, we will hear from Phelese Brown, a monitoring and evaluation specialist at the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, where she supports the second Rural Economic Development Initiative project funded by the World Bank. Phelese brings over 8 years of experience in contributing to impactful projects across sectors such as national security, agriculture, and tourism. Melissa and Phelese, the floor is yours, and I will share your presentation.
Okay, thank you, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. I know we're the last speakers, so we're right before everybody gets a chance to take a question, but we just wanted to share a little bit first about the World Bank's overall strategy in the agriculture sector, and then also to give an example to hear what is being done in the Caribbean, and specifically the Ready 2 project, which Phelese is part of and implementing. So I just have one slide, and Phelese has a number of slides to follow. But just to say that, the World Bank has been engaged in supporting investments in the agricultural sector for, decades in many of the countries that all of you are in. But I think we've recently realized that there's an opportunity to take a more integrated approach to the sector, also recognizing how important agri-food investments and activities are in generating jobs and supporting broad-based economic development and poverty reduction. And so just within the past few weeks, the World Bank has announced an Agri-Connect initiative, which is really designed to take a more integrated approach across the different parts of the World Bank. The World Bank Group includes a private sector arm, the IFC, the World Bank, which is providing investment lending to countries, and then also various specialized agencies providing, risk insurance, MIGA. And so what we've really seen is there's an opportunity to strengthen the foundation, with investments in kind of core infrastructure, taking advantage of the digital space, the availability of digital tools, and then to really focus on some of the engines of the agri-food value chain, which are smallholders, and the ability to connect cooperatives and aggregators together in new and different ways. We see building on policies and revamping policies as part of this initiative to really kind of reorient and align policies to areas where they're most important, where they support better trade facilitation, land tenure, and the development of public goods. And then lastly, I think quite importantly, a lot of you have faced, and even has been mentioned here in this meeting, access to finance and markets is of course key, and managing risk and developing different types of financing mechanisms can be a really important way of doing that. And so I think that kind of encompasses what the World Bank is thinking about going forward, and really trying to leverage, the relationships and the investments in countries and across partners to be able to bring some greater scale to investments in agri-value chains. So I think that's just a very brief overview. And let me then turn it over to Phelese, because in Jamaica, the Ready 2 project has been, implementing some of these types of, frameworks and approaches for several years through Ready 1 and now through Ready 2, and has some really interesting examples, which I think we're going to hear about. So over to you, Phelese.
Thank you, Melissa. Hello, everyone.
And I think we'll go to the next slide.
Thank you. Okay, so this presentation today will be focused on our Jamaica's second Rural Economic Development Initiative, Ready 2 for short, which is funded by the World Bank, and to show how it is facilitating the transformation of agri-food systems. Next slide, please. So just a little background about Ready 2. It is a project of the government of Jamaica funded by the World Bank, and it is being implemented by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund. Ready 2 is being implemented to promote rural economic development and income generation, and it seeks to enhance access to markets and climate resilient approaches for our targeted beneficiaries. These beneficiaries are our rural agricultural stakeholders. Ready 2 is also facilitating development in community tourism, but for the purpose of this presentation, the focus is on agriculture. Next slide, please. So I will go through just a few of our success stories. One of our projects that we have implemented is called St. Mary Multipurpose Cooperative, and this is based on the rehabilitation of a cold storage facility. Rehabilitation and expansion, I should say, of a cold storage facility. This cooperative is a group of farmers, and they have 40 members that are part of the cooperative and over 100 rural farmers that supply fresh produce to the cooperative. So in a sense, the cooperative serves as a purveyor. So it purchases fresh produce from our rural farmers, and then the cooperative combines those produce to meet the demands for our value chain actors, such as our supermarkets and other organizations who would want to purchase in bulk. One of the challenges that our rural farmers, they are unable to meet the demand of certain markets, such as the hotel sectors, the big conglomerates, the big supermarkets, and so on. And so in order to provide and supply and meet those demands, that's where a St. Mary Multipurpose Cooperative come into play. It plays that major role to facilitate the combination of those produce to meet the demands of these other value chain actors. So the situation for St. Mary Multipurpose Cooperative was that they had insufficient cold storage space, and as a result, they have high post-harvest loss. Up to 50% of the produce that they purchase from the farmers would have been spoiled because there's no storage. There is insufficient storage, I must say. This affects the income of the farmers because St. Mary Multipurpose is unable to store large quantities of produce. They are purchasing less from the farmers. Again, the farmers have nowhere to sell their produce. Their access to market is limited. And that's one of the major issues that we are facing in our rural areas and rural communities, that because of their small size, their lack of access to certain resources such as financing, they are unable to produce to meet certain demand, and they also lack certain capacity to make certain market linkages. Right? This not only affects the income stability of the farmers, but the corporate, in order to operate the corporate, they have to make money, right? So because they are purchasing less, they are also supplying less to their markets. They're unable to make sufficient funds to operate their business. Right? There is also another major issue that St. Mary Multipurpose Cooperative face is the frequent power outages to operate their cold storage. And so for days they will be out of power supply, and as a result, those produce tend to spoil. Based on the issue that they're facing, they also risk losing their certification for export because they're storing produce as well to meet the export market. Again, the energy costs to run and operate the cold storage facility is very high. And because of low revenue or loss of revenue, they're unable to sustain that. And so some of the drivers to implement this project was one, it is aligned with our national strategic priorities. When we look at food security, promoting food security, the St. Mary Multipurpose Cooperative and our rural farmers serve a significant role in enhancing food security for Jamaica, right? One of the focus right now for Jamaica is to improve our cold chain supply so that in times like this, when we have natural disasters, hurricanes, storms, flooding, we have food stored to facilitate the demand for our residents or community persons. It also is aligned with increasing market access because it's one of the challenges that they're facing, right? They're unable to supply sufficient amount of produce to meet the demand and also to expand their market access. It's also another driver is that this is a major livelihood for small farmers. Without this cooperative, our small farmers face challenges in selling their produce. Next slide, please. So I just want to quickly go through some of the success stories of the implementation of this cold storage facility project on the Ready 2. So it is funded by the World Bank, right? And the support that we provided include the rehabilitation and expansion of the cold storage facility. We provide equipment such as commercial scales to the cooperative, and we install our grid-tied solar PVC system, right? And as I mentioned, in terms of the issue they are facing, the frequent power outage, we thought it necessary to provide an alternative source of renewable energy to address this issue. One of the major outcomes that we have seen is that this support significantly reduced post-harvest loss. And I spoke about the issue of half of their produce have been spoiled as a result of insufficient storage, right? So we have seen up to 45% reduction in post-harvest loss as a result of the support. And this data is based on our outcome harvesting evaluation, which we would have conducted. We have seen where the cooperative is now able to store large quantities of produce. The produce can be kept in storage up to 2 weeks or more, and they are still of good quality. So the quality of the produce have improved to meet the demand and requirements of their markets. There is also increase in market access. On one side, they are able to consistently supply produce to their current markets, and they have also extend their market access. So they were supporting supermarkets on a contractual basis, and they were able to expand that market access into the health sector, right? They are able to retain their license for export because now they have an improved facility. They're able to also increase their number of farmers which they purchase produce from because they're able to purchase large quantities of produce because the storage facility is now available. We have also seen increase in sales, and we'll see the cascading effect. They are purchasing more, they're selling more, automatically they will increase their sales. And we have seen within a year period, they have increased their sales by 18%. They have also increased in terms of their storage capacity. So at one point, they were storing up to 5,000 pounds of produce. They're at one time, they are now able to store up to 15,000 or more of produce at any given time. There is also notice of increased and consistent supply to meet the demand. No farmers can be reassured that there is a market in place to purchase their produce, so they can increase their production and supply all their produce to the cooperative. We're seeing where there is a major collaboration with our government stakeholders, and our modus operandi for Ready 2 is to ensure that we implement strategic partnerships with our government stakeholders and other civil societies in the country to facilitate the successful implementation of these projects. And so our partner agencies will help in providing technical support, extension services, and so on to our enterprises, beneficiary enterprises, to provide a fulsome support. So we are not only providing the equipment or the infrastructure, but capacity building is also built into that support to ensure that they can sustain their business. Another interesting outcome is that we have seen where there is improved payment timelines. One of the issues that they were faced with is that because they are unable to sell enough produce and make enough profits, they were not able to pay their farmers who supplied them on time. But this has changed because now they have seen increase in sales. They can purchase on a large scale. They can store large quantities of produce. And so they have a good, consistent cash flow to assist in terms of paying their farmers in a timely manner. And as you see, based on the mapping there, the issues that I've identified were addressed. The reduction in post-harvest loss, we have a target of 40%, and we have exceeded that to 45% reduction. The loss of markets would have been addressed because they are now able to consistently supply their markets and also to increase their market access to the health sector. They also, in terms of loss of revenue that have been addressed, they have consistent cash flow. They're also able to meet the demand from from the markets on a timely basis as well. And the issue with the regular power outage and spoilage of produce would have been addressed because now they have their renewable source of energy, which is reliable. And I must say it has worked wonders. They were doing great even during last year's hurricane that we have experienced, Hurricane Beryl. They have a full functioning cold storage facility that is functioning at a high standard, providing fresh produce to their markets. We have also seen they're able to put in place sustainable measures to ensure the continuity of their business. And so based on the support, we have also provided capacity building support in terms of business plan, which includes continuity plan that helps them to sustain their operation. Because they are now seeing consistent markets, they're able to implement other measures in terms of doing training among their farmers. They're also doing making preparations to offer online payment services and to sell their produce online as well. Another interesting plan that they have is to also export plantains to overseas markets. Currently, they are storing yam to export, right? And we'll see all of these outcomes would have been linked back to our objective, which includes to enhance access to markets and climate resilience for our targeted beneficiaries. Next slide, please.
Yes, Phelese, if you can try to wrap up a bit, because we're running out of time. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So just to highlight another success story, another project that we have implemented is called our Income Generation Small Grants for Women and Youth. And we speak about social inclusion. And we know that women and youth in agriculture are our vulnerable groups. They lack access to resources such as financing. So they face or they are disproportionately affected, right, in the agricultural sector. And the pictures that you have seen here are some of our beneficiaries that would have received support in the form of livestock, crop production, equipment, and tools to facilitate their operations. Next slide, please. The issue that was faced and that determines the implementation of this project is the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we are seeing where it's the women and youth who were disproportionately affected by this pandemic. They had loss of crops, they lost markets, business hours reduced, right? As a result, they're unable to sell their produce. There is cutback on consumer spending. And we're also seeing where there is increased costs in terms of purchasing agricultural inputs to sustain their business. Next slide, please. from the support, we have seen outcomes, positive outcomes from this, where we have seen where persons have been more climate resilient. We have provided storage water tanks to assist because one of the issues was drought in these rural areas. And this have improved water conservation. They are able to reliably provide water supply to operate their businesses in terms of livestock production and crop production. We have seen where over 4,000 beneficiaries, 67% are women, who benefited from this project. So we have seen the wide impact or wide reach of this project to our rural farmers. There is market access, positive outcomes. They were able to tap into new markets. They increase their market segments. They were able to tap into niche markets as well, increase their customer base because they have increased in production, right? And we are seeing one important linkage where agritourism linkage was made based on the support of this project. Next slide, please. I'm running out of time, so I'm trying to rush. So based on those success stories, we hope and we know we'll see more of those that we can share at a later date with our stakeholders. And so looking ahead, we are focused on continuing to support our rural enterprises so that they can boost their production, they can drive sustainable development for their operation. And so we'll be supporting areas in terms of agro-processing and other cold chain facilities, protected agriculture to address the issue of climate change, climate smart technology as well. Thank you so much. I think that wraps up my slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa and Phelese, for this presentation. We are indeed running a bit out of time. We will not be doing the Q&A session as we don't want to take too much time from the participants or the interpreters or the panelists. But what we suggest is that we will ask the questions to the panelists by email, and then we will publish them, the answers on Agri-Innovators. And also we will include them in the highlights report that you will receive by email, probably in the upcoming days. So I want to say thank you to our panelists for sharing your insights today. It has been inspiring to hear firsthand how agri-food entrepreneurs are navigating challenges, seizing opportunities, and innovating across the Caribbean and Latin America. So we've seen that the agri-food sector in this region is at a pivotal moment, facing challenges, but also rich with opportunity for innovation and growth. Entrepreneurs, especially women and youth, are driving this transformation through climate smart practices, agro-processing, digital tools, and value-added products that strengthen food security and resilience. To unlock their full potential, of course, we must reduce barriers, expand access to finance and technical support, and invest in technology and sustainability, strengthening regional value chains and fostering collaboration among entrepreneurs, investors, and policymakers will be key to building a more resilient, inclusive, and competitive agri-food system in Latin America and the Caribbean. So in this spirit, I strongly invite you to join Agri-Innovators, our online platform where you will find resources from this session and a community forum where you can share ideas about innovations that are transforming our food systems. My colleague will put the link in the chat right now. And so in closing this session, I want to reiterate that the future of agri-food systems in the Caribbean and Latin America rests on collaboration, innovation, and inclusivity. Entrepreneurs are not just participants, but they are leaders in building resilient, sustainable, and equitable food systems. By combining their dynamism with supportive policies, strategic investments, and shared knowledge, Latin America and the Caribbean can transform vulnerability into leadership and ensure that safe, nutritious, and sustainable